Hey, my name is Tankard, and I actually live right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, but literally right now traveling all over the world. I'm an economist by profession. I also am the founder and CEO of the Millionaires Club, and I had a vision to start that several years ago because I talked to so many women, and they would be like, well, I don't handle the money in my family, and I gotta ask my husband. It'll be like basic financial stuff. I thought it was basic, but I realized it wasn't so basic, and that a lot of women really had intimidation issues where money matters were concerned. So I started the club because I wanted to be able to address some of those things. And even growing up, you know, my parents' power couple, they were like the power couple before you were calling people power couple. They actually were the first African Americans to have a business downtown Detroit, and it did really, really well. They made millions of dollars. And my whole life, we lived this fabulous life, his and her Rolls Royces, his and her Mercedes. I had a Volvo. We had housekeepers, cooks, drivers, the whole nine. And then at 19, we lost everything. And I was like, what the heck just happened? And so I remember asking my mom questions like, hey, did we have any money invested? Do we have any money saved? How did we end up like losing everything, having to lose our house? Like the whole change in lifestyle thing was so emotionally drastic. And then, you know, most of her answers were like, well, you know, your father thought this or your father said this. And I remember thinking to myself, but what were you thinking? Was there anything going off? You know, was there any kind of financial gut saying, I think we should save this or I think we should pay this off? And so, you know, mom was just a product of her generation. And I have to say, mom and dad are doing very well today. They have one of the top construction companies in Tennessee. So if they're watching, I'm proud of you guys. But it was just a true story. And this all happened at 19. And so I remember thinking to myself, you know, this is crazy. So I went from, you know, being used to daddy taking good care of me to now I'm trying to recreate this lifestyle that I had become accustomed to living. And so I started dating drug dealers, right? And so it actually was fun for a little while until they started getting indicted and dying. And so I realized at that point that I needed to take a hold of my own financial destiny. I didn't need to depend on daddy anymore because I was definitely daddy's little girl. And then now I'm trying to get boyfriends to create this lifestyle that I had become accustomed to living. And I realized at that moment, you know what? You better learn how to take care of your own self. And so now you need to become responsible, get financially educated, hang out with people that have your answer and not your problem, and educate yourself. So that's kind of my background, my story, how I got to, you know, where I am today and accomplishing all that I had. And this is the thing that I want to say that I've come to understand. Some people are amazing producers. Like they can naturally produce money. They just sneeze it and cash flow comes out. Yay. Okay. But then there are some people that are not the best producers, but they can manage their money really well. They steward it really well. But wouldn't it be great if we could get a nice medium, come in between, become great producers and great managers at the same time, and not that one person is going to have everything. So I strongly believe in partnership. Okay, partnership, relationship. There's some relationships that I know I'm gonna have to life because they have a particular skill set that I need to accomplish my financial goals, okay? So one of the first things that I wanna talk to you about today, and ladies, feel free to jump in if you guys have questions or you're like, hey, why don't you hit this? And I also want to say, you know, I think this is really great. My husband is Ben Tankard. Yes, thank you, Lord. Gospel award-winning jazz artist, wonderful man. Even when I met my husband, I mean, this man had made millions of dollars, but he wasn't the best manager. And I'm so grateful that he was teachable to say, you know what? I've not done a good job of stewarding my money. You're good at that, so you steward it. And so we came together and made a power couple. And so what am I saying? You have to be honest with yourself to assess, hey, where am I really at? You know, where do I need to be? And what are some of the things that I need to adopt? So I want to just talk to you about some financial matters today, the old rules of money versus the new rules of money, because there are certainly new rules of money that are a lot more accelerated that are going to help you make your goals. So let's talk about the different types of income first. So we have three types of income. And let me start, or I'm sorry, not income. Yeah, three types of income. So the three types of income that we want to talk about today. All right, and the first one is earned income. So what's earned income? That means that you go to work, maybe you work a 9 to 5, or maybe it's not a 9 to 5. And I don't know if you guys can see that too well, so let me try the red one. But maybe it's not a 9 to 5. Maybe it's a 10 to 2, or maybe you work the late shift, or whatever it is. That's earned income. That means that unless you show up, you don't get paid, okay? And ultimately, you don't want to stay there all your life because you'll never, ever be able to make the amount of money that you're really worth, okay? So earned income is the lowest form of income. The other thing about earned income that I have a challenge with, and thank God if you have a job because that's honorable, but one of the things that happens when a person is making earned income, and that means they're going to a job, working 9 to 5 or whatever those hours are, over time, they begin to kind of lose what I call your financial gut. Everybody has a financial gut. That means instinctively on the inside, something tells you, I need to do business with this person, or I need to do this deal, or I don't need to do this deal, or I don't need to do business with that person. So what happens is when you work a set hours for a set person, usually over time, because they tell you when to think, they tell you when you can eat, they tell you when you go on vacation, they give you all the answers. So you never get a chance to develop your critical thinking skills or never get a chance to really dive in and say, hey, what am I sensing here? Because I can tell you that a lot of the big deals where I made a great amount of profit, it wasn't because I knew everything. It wasn't because I had all the answers. Just something on the inside said, do this, go there, partner with this person, okay? So remember, I told you, partnership and collaboration is huge. It's everything, you know? And this is why I want you to learn how to get along with people. Let me make myself a note on that because that is key. And I want you to know that there's a difference between a wealthy mindset versus poverty mindset. And it's not just about money, but it's how you view people. So I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit, okay? It's how you view people. And so I'm gonna teach you, we're gonna talk about how you can maximize your relationships. And but let's go back here. So this financial gut is important. So I want you to start trusting that. Listen for that. Pay attention to that. Hey, is this something that I need to be doing? Or hey, man, I really feel like I should do this, or I really feel like I shouldn't do that deal. Those are the things that you want to pay attention to, okay, is your financial gut. So ladies, can you say financial gut?
Financial gut.
All right, that's great. All right, so number 2, the next type of income is what we call passive income. This passive income is where you want to tap into. You want to tap into passive income. Passive income pretty much says this, that whether I'm there or not, okay, whether I'm working or not, doesn't matter where I am in the world, I have the ability to make passive income. That means that I don't have to be there to make money, and I'm still making money. That's what the wealthy do. They make passive income. That means they're automatically in their sleep, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars are going, that revenue is going into their account because they understood the wealth secrets is to make sure that you learn how to earn passive income. Can everybody say passive income?
Passive income.
Okay, passive income. So that's good. So you want to make sure that you get passive income. That means that money is on automatic. Now, this takes, in order to make passive income though, this takes a certain degree of boldness. I'm going to say courage. And you have to be willing to take some risk. You are crazy if you think that you're going to make millions of dollars and never want to take risk. And that's the whole issue that I have with earned income, because this person usually has a box mindset, or you could say fixed. So ask yourself today, do I have a fixed mindset or growth mindset? Like, for example, I try to live my life like that. Like when I travel, I kind of have an agenda, but anything is subject to change. So I can't have people close to me, with me, that have a fixed mindset. You said we were going to be here at 3 o'clock. I can't roll like that because I have a growth mindset. And so I just flow with it. Even this past trip that I did, I had in my mind, this is what I'm going to do. But at the last minute, they said, no, you need to go to this business luncheon. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I just flow with it. But if I was hanging with somebody that had a fixed mindset, they might have been like, that wasn't on the schedule. I didn't plan for that. No, I got a growth mindset. So I just trust that, hey, my footsteps are being redirected, they're being ordered. And if I go with that, then I can get the benefit from that. But if I'm so busy trying to make sure that everything is so rigid, and that's why if you have a rigid personality, you need to tell yourself, relax. Because the only way you're going to come into real wealth is you got to learn how to relax, okay? Tell yourself that right now, relax, okay? So that's really important. You got to relax, okay? And not only do you have to relax, because you're going to have to take some risk. You're going to have to take some risk. Now, this is a big thing that I want to say about risk. I'm going to put the word tolerance right here. Risk tolerance. You have to understand that when you get ready to do a deal, first of all, don't ask people that you do not admire from a financial standpoint what they think about your business or about your money. So I can go to Aunt May and talk to her about the Lord all day. Come on. But I don't want to go and talk to her about this investment deal because unfortunately, a poverty mindset, they view people in a negative way. They have a problem with trust. So you hear people all the time say, I don't trust it. They think everything is a scam. It ain't right. It just ain't right. Well, you need to stop talking to Aunt May about your business and your money because you were just getting ready to step out and go over and into your wealthy place. But she sat there because you gave her an ear. Okay, you listened to her and you were listening to the wrong person. Your financial counsel needs to be, that circle should be small. Okay, you shouldn't be getting financial advice from a bunch of people and certainly not people that have not ever lived it or experienced it. Okay, I had an opportunity to talk with a billionaire yesterday. Michael Roberts is his name. He his own hotels, TV networks, radio networks, and he said one of the keys to his success is he has learned how to trust his financial gut. And he has very few people that he will get financial counsel from because he's like, they're gonna tell me they're gonna be scared to do everything. Because the poverty mindset is scared. They're always scared. They're like, oh, it's not, what if it doesn't work? What if this? But what if it does work and you don't have to struggle anymore? I'd rather take the risk, right? And at the possibility that my life can change forever, I'd rather do that than to live the same old tired, struggling, survival, check-to-check life, right? Okay, yes. So understand that everybody's risk tolerance is going to be different. Now, I want to say this where risk tolerance is concerned for married people. I believe that you define a power couple is two people that have the ability to think for themselves. I'll give you an example. One day, my husband got on this serious tangent. He wanted a beach house in Florida. I said, you better go here, brother. And so then he came to me and he said, honey, do you want to go in on this deal? And I didn't instinctively want to do it. And I said, but I'll lie in the bed with you when we go down there, okay? All right. But I didn't want to do the deal from a money standpoint. I didn't want to invest in that. I love to receive the benefits from it, but I didn't want to write any check for it. But this is what I love. He got on our plane because he's a pilot. We operate two airplanes that are debt-free. Hallelujah. But he got on his plane with one of his best friends and they flew down to Florida. Next thing I know, true story, about 8 hours later, probably they left at dusk and probably when the sun was starting to set, he sent me a picture of him sitting down with this precious Caucasian couple with paperwork and a pen. He said, the deal is done. Yeah. I said, you better go ahead, brother. And I said, honey, I didn't even get a chance to see the house. He's like, you don't need to see the house. It's my deal, not yours. I said, yay, drop the mic, right? That's good. So, but if I had a fixed mindset, I'd be like, how did you make that kind of decision without me? Listen, he has his own mind, his own brain, and his own money, and he should be able to do whatever he wants to do with it. So I have to respect that he wanted to take a risk in this particular investment, and that he had to respect that I didn't want to take the risk. Now watch this. He shouldn't need my approval to do something that his instinct told him. Yes, right? Yes, just like I shouldn't need his approval. Come on, ladies. Yeah. I should need his approval, okay, either to do something that I instinctively want to do. Same thing with a couple deals in Atlanta. I said, babe, I'm getting ready to buy this property downtown, tax lien, da-da-da-da-da-da. Business partner found this deal. He said, you guys go ahead. I don't want in on the deal, but go ahead. I'm proud of you. So what am I saying? That a power couple is two people that are individuals that understand we're together, but we have our own mind. Because it makes my heart cringe when I hear people say things like, well, my wife didn't want to do it. Does she have to want to do it for you to do it? Or vice versa. My husband didn't think it was a good idea. Did he have to think it was a good idea for you to do it? Because last time I checked, you were your own person. So I think some of you need to get some balance on that, because some of y'all be doing the most, right? Like, I mean, I could see if, well, you know, for us, that's kind of where we are, but I could see if it was like, I don't know if I could see it at all, because I think that there's I think there's something on the inside of you that dies when you don't do what you instinctively sense you should do. And you want to be good and strong and courageous, because you build courage by doing things off of instinct, not off of head knowledge. You build boldness by doing things, and then you win. Okay? One of the properties I found out about today, they're both about to close within 30 days. But both of those deals I had to do on instinct, because I didn't know everything about the deal. I didn't know if they needed a new roof. I didn't know if it needed a new water heater. We saw the deals, the opportunity was there, and I said, I'm gonna seize the moment. So as a business person, you must learn to seize the moment. One season will predicate and open up the door for a new season. But if you are in that season and you are sluggish and you dragging your feet and you talking about, I want to pray about it. You've been praying all of this time, okay? It's time to move into action. So this is what I'm going to say. This is for other church folks. This is free. You can develop your faith by going to church and build that faith muscle, but it doesn't mean that you're developed financially and in business things, because we got to mix the two together. You see, otherwise being in church will not just make you successful. How about that? Okay? And some of you are like, she said it. No, it's the truth. I don't want you to spend your whole life going to church expecting God to do all this stuff, but you wouldn't get your behind up in the morning, okay? Or you weren't willing to stay up late at night. You know what time I go to bed sometimes at night? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I get back up in the morning. I have my prayer time and my meditation time with God in the morning. And after that, I am off to the races, because I understand that if I have particular goals, that I have to have a particular pace. Remember, success has a pace. It has a seed. And guess what? I love everybody, but I may not be in close relationship with a woman who just wants to cook for her family and clean. I'm not mad at that, but I can't talk to you because you will think I am so weird. You will not be able to take me. You know what I mean? And I'll be thinking you are so weird. So I can love you, but I'm not going to necessarily put myself in that sphere up close, because you'll begin to demean, possibly, unaware, like, why? It's just too much. It's just too much. And I'm thinking I'm not doing enough, right? So we have to watch who we're around. What is their risk tolerance? Do they have any? Are they taking any risk at all? So remember that who you're in relationship speaks to a lot of your decisions and your actions on a day-to-day basis, okay? So passive income is going to take all this, but it's passive means the money is automatic, but it does take these attributes in order to get here, because this can be very scary, because this, to some degree, you might be thinking, I can't control that. Earned income, I can control. I can control that I get up and go to work every day. But with passive, so much of it is me developing and personal development, right? Or developing that business to grow that. It takes some guts, it takes some grit, right? All right, so the next type of income is one of my favorites, portfolio income. Okay? Portfolio income. And portfolio income basically deals with real estate, oil wells, mining rights. These are all things that will impact or would go into your portfolio. Because here's the thing, if you work a job, that job is not gonna allow you to develop portfolio income. You're just not gonna make enough money, because if you work in a job, 9 times out of 10, they just paying you for the hours that you work. So just enough for you to pay your bills. It's not enough for you to say, hey, I wanna buy an apartment building this year, debt-free. Or I wanna buy 2 duplexes. So go with me, let's dream a little bit, okay? You make the decision, stepping out on faith. I'm leaving my job. I'm going to passive income. I'm gonna take this cash flow and I'm gonna buy 2 apartment buildings. Each apartment building has 30 units. Each unit, I can charge about $1,000 for each unit. How much is that a month? That's $30,000 a month. That's portfolio income. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a property management company to manage it for me, because I'm not trying to knock on doors every month to collect money. I'll let the property management company handle those holdings. I'll let them collect the rent, and we'll set up a maintenance escrow account every single month. I'll take that. And this is one of the things I talked to the billionaire about, Mr. Roberts. I said, with your hotels, do you take a portion of your income and put it towards maintenance, or how do you do it? Or do you just pay it as it goes? He said, because it's an older building, every month we have handyman always on property fixing things, right? So you can do that however you want. The point is the mindset is, I'm getting ready to develop enough passive income that I can buy that building that will generate me $30,000 a month. And I'm just using that as an arbitrary number. You can come up with whatever. You might get a 7-unit apartment building, or 20 or 50 or 100 or whatever. But the point is, you can say every month, I'll make sure that the percentage of that revenue that comes in from that income is put into a maintenance account, so we can continue to do upgrades. We can paint, we can lay down new carpet. A little trick, I'll tell you, every hotel I go to and I check in, I say, will you put me in the new room? I do it every time. Ben, my honey, he laughs at me every time. He's like, you're so funny. But true story, we went to a hotel in Vegas, and some kind of way, he checked in and I wasn't up there with him. And we went to that room. I said, this is not the new room. It's not the room. He said, how do you know? I said, nope, we're not staying here. I went downstairs. I said, ma'am, can you please put it in? That room was night and day. My honey said, I will never, ever laugh at you about that. Big difference. Why? Because hotels are always doing upgrades and maintenances and things like that, right? So always ask for the new room, okay? But yeah, so now this portfolio income puts you in a position, now you can, I don't like to say retire, but it puts you in a position where you don't even have to think about money for the rest of your life. Because at 65, you're not still trying to live off of earned income. Because if you're trying to live off of earned income at 65, 9 times out of 10, you have to go back to work. Because they usually cut that pension by 50%. Okay, so if you were used to making $4,000 a month when you were working at 65, and you tell them you're ready to retire, they're gonna tell you that $4,000, well, you're gonna get about $2,000 after taxes and all that. That is crazy. Who's gonna live off of $2,000? Because I feel like at 65 years old, why would I even want to downgrade? Like, to me, that's not even cool. Like, why? The kids are gone. I don't care if the kids are gone. I like my big house. Okay? So we want to get over here to this portfolio income. Ultimately, this is where we want to be. So let's talk about the wealthy versus poverty mindset, where we talk about viewing how we view people. How we view people. So let's talk about that a little bit. I will tell you that I've seen over the years that a lot of times, Shia, can you come get this from me? Because this is going to be a job. Thank you. I can tell you that I've seen people who really have trust issues. And unfortunately, it's what a lot of times keep the person that's struggling, because they don't trust anybody. And why it's dangerous, you know, women growing up, you've heard this, girl, I don't trust women. That's a problem, because you're probably gonna need some of those women to be successful. I can tell you right now that I would not have, and this is a true statement, and I believe this with everything in me. First of all, God, okay, let's be clear. But after that, I would not have, I don't think 50% of the success that I've come into, and I'm just still getting started, really, that I've come into without relationships. Without relationships and just trusting. You know, when I got ready to start the Jewel Tankard show and Impact Network, that's on Impact Network, And they said, we're really excited. We want to give you an opportunity to have your talk show. You have a voice and people love you and blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, great. So what does it look like from a production standpoint? They were like, I don't know, you tell us. And I was like, so we don't have producers? They're like, no, you gotta find your own producers. So I started looking the traditional way, and their cost was just so exorbitant. I was like, I can't afford that. This show's not even bringing in any money yet. Like, I can't afford to bring on Wendy Williams' person or, Rachel Ray's person, Ellen. I'm not there yet. I'm just getting started. This is in 2015. And so I just started really praying, like searching my heart, who could do it? And I started thinking about a couple women that actually attend our church. And I just said, well, I'm gonna ask them. One was involved in theater, the other one was really good administratively, and the other one was a phenomenal writer. So I said, let me just ask them, see what they say. And those ladies have done an amazing job at producing the Jewel Tankard show. They saw the vision like I saw it. I said, one day we're gonna have advertisers paying millions of dollars. I'll be able to pay you guys, but right now, it ain't happening. So, but they saw the vision. They said, no, we get it. We see the vision. So had there not been a relationship there, okay, even taping this, I was like, man, who can tape this? Derek, let's call Derek. And Derek was like, hey, I'm down, let's do it. So what am I saying? That unless you start learning how to trust people, remember, out of your instinct, not because of your head knowledge, your instinct, one relationship will lead to another relationship, that'll lead to another relationship, and it'll start building. And next thing you know, you've built an entire dynasty. Awesome. You don't build a dynasty by yourself, okay? It's impossible. And the reality is when you first start building a dynasty, you don't even have the budget to pay people. So you need to start valuing. Now watch this. This is the thing about wealthy people. They value people's gifts and talents. I mean, because if you just sit around and harp on people's flaws, nobody's gonna be good enough, okay? And for whatever reason, people with a poverty mindset, all they see is the problem. I'm like, that person has gold in them. Like, you need to dig for that gold and stop being so obsessed with what you don't like, because you're missing the value in mankind. God made mankind so creative, so innovative. Everybody has a genius. Everybody has a brilliance. Everybody. So what you got to do when you meet somebody, first of all, I see what I'm sensing in here on the inside. I may not know everything about them, but I can tell I either like you or I don't. Well, I shouldn't say I don't like you. I'll just say that maybe we're supposed to be connected, maybe we're not. Let's put it like that, okay? Because it's not about like or dislike. It's just about, is there a connection? Is there something there? Is there a relationship that can take us both to the wealthy place? Maybe not right away, but it will. And so now I have relationships that are like that. The people have grown. We've grown together, you see? And we continue to grow. Wealthy people, another one is wealthy people are very loyal. You might say, what does this have to do with money? This has a lot to do with money. Because if you can't maintain relationships, you're gonna have a hard time with generating income. So you're gonna have to say, hey, I trust this person, I'm gonna be loyal, and it doesn't mean that you don't add onto your team, because in every season, you're gonna need to add. You get to a point you max out. I tell women all the time, your business is starting to grow, you've been doing all the cooking, you've been doing all the cleaning, grocery store, dry cleaners, girl, hire you somebody. It's time now. You're at that point that unless you bring on somebody else, your business stays at a mom and pop level, when really it's time to take it to a Fortune 100 level or maybe Fortune 200 level, right? But you can't do that because you don't have the right relationship to come in and undergird and support that, you see? So everybody gets to that point where they need Miss Velma's company, okay, to come and clean for them or organize, okay? Because can't nobody organize like Miss Velma's company. I'm telling you right now. Can't nobody put my clothes together like Ellie Kalor. Oh my gosh, that girl's gift and talent is so big in my life that when she's not there, I feel it and I miss her. So when you get those relationships, you start realizing, man, you were really called to do it. Somebody else can write, but can't nobody write a press release like Ashia. Oh, I'm serious. I'm not just saying that. Like, figure out what those people's gifts and talents are and then hold them up and hold them as precious, and then everybody grows together. You got it? All right? So we want to make sure that we're valuing the gifts, we're valuing the talents, and that we're loyal, because people with the poverty mindset, they have trust, let me put it here, issues, hard to trust. Over here is easy to trust. These people trust really easily. These people usually are angry. That's why it's important not to practice anger. If you don't like President Trump, it doesn't matter, because the White House has never paid my bills. I don't know about you, but I've never gotten a check from the White House in my life, okay? Because I've created my own financial policy. So don't practice anger every day at something or someone or a president or somebody. Don't give them that kind of authority in your life. Take that energy to create business, to create income, right? All right, so you don't want to spend your life angry, because wealthy people, the mindset is they're usually happy and excited. Because guess what? Nobody wants to hang out with anybody dry and mean. Who's going to want to do business with you and you mean? No, I don't care how cute you are. Put a smile on your face. Let people know you appreciate them. Let them know, man, I thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Because people don't have to do anything for you. But when they do, make sure you're gracious. I promise you, this thing is so contagious, it will take off like crazy. So now that we've kind of talked about that mindset, I want to move over. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about money in particularly. We're going to get into a little bit of the old rules of money versus the new rules of money, and then what are the new rules of money and what you can do to make sure you're participating in that, okay? So everybody grew up hearing, I got to have a basic savings account, right? Well, I mean, I'm all about liquidity and having money liquid. Don't get me wrong. And I don't have a problem with the savings account. But if you you should never have a savings account for the purpose of saving for retirement or even a house, because you're not getting any interest. I mean, these things are paying like 0.01. It's crazy. So by the time you pay a maintenance fee, and of course, they'll tell you that if you have a minimum balance that, you know, you might not have that monthly fee. But if you're paying a monthly fee, you really might need to consider closing the savings account. You'll be better off keeping it under your mattress, okay? Seriously, you're just not making any money there. And then there's a money market account. And a money market account, you get a little bit more. So let's just say maybe 0.2 on there. And so the money market accounts are usually connected to a stock broker like a Edward Jones, a Merrill Lynch, a Smith Barney, something like that. And it allows you to move money from your money market account to purchase stocks, okay, or bonds or mutual funds. So the difference is a savings account is connected to a traditional bank or a credit union. Money market is connected to an investment account, an investment banker like Merrill Lynch or something like that. Okay, and then after that, you have your checking account. Now, you should never ever be saving money in a checking account. This is just for your operational expenses. Okay, this is just to pay your bills. The other thing that I want to say is that you need to give yourself a new zero for all of these things. This will help you from not bouncing, checks. So let's just say in your checking account, you have $1,500 of expenses that are being paid out. Well, tell yourself you just have $1,400 in there. That way you always keep a minimum balance in your checking account of, let's just say, $100, okay? Same thing with a savings account, which, there's not anything being paid out of this more than likely. But with this, it's important to keep that minimum balance. Plus, it'll help you offset usually monthly fees if you keep a minimum balance in there, and it'll keep you from, bouncing your check. Another thing you can do, especially if it's a business account, you may want to open up an open line of credit. And basically what that does is that if indeed some of your bills are coming through and, there's not enough money in there to cover it, they'll pull it out of that open line of credit. And usually if you pay this within a 30-day period, you don't pay any interest, okay? It's almost like an American Express. That's why I love American Express. I've been an American Express consumer since 1989, child. Ooh, I've had American Express a minute. But they're great because you pay them off within 30 days, and then you have lots of perks, concierge, travel, points for rental car, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you might want to talk to your bank about getting open a line of credit, especially if it's a business checking account and you're doing business to pay your vendors, to get that open line of credit to just protect your account from ever going into the negative. Okay, so those are the different types of accounts. Now, I'm a strong believer that everybody should have a safe. I mean, you need to have some kind of money that you can get your hands on. And maybe you may want to do a safety deposit box. You might not want to keep that cash on hand at home, or maybe you do, but you need to have somewhere where you can get cash on your hand. I also am a firm believer that even in your wallet, never ever let your wallet get below $200. So that needs to be just, because what happens is money draws money. So when you start getting away from having a broke mindset into a wealthy mindset, the key is to stay off of zero. Even if you have, let's just say you got a large check coming in, like maybe $35,000. Don't spend all the $35,000. Put a portion aside every time you get a lump sum to say, this is just going to be there, because you have to keep liquidity. Okay, liquidity is key. All right, so those are the different types of accounts. And then can I get you to erase this right side, Ashia? So, you know, even in that wallet, no less than $200, and tell yourself that. I think that's pretty important, okay? The other thing that I want to say is that, you know, if you start using like an ATM debit, your credit card that's attached to your checking account, a lot of times if you use your ATM as a credit and not a debit, they don't charge you, okay? If you use it as a debit and you put in your PIN number, there's a charge. So, you know, you always want to make sure you offset those little expenses, because that stuff ends up really adding up big time, okay? I also want to suggest to you, especially for those of you that are business owners, and obviously this is the Black CEO Conference, so I'm sure most of you are business owners. Make sure that you really get an avid accountant, okay? Because what you need to do, and the Millionaires Club does have an accounting firm that we work with that are very, very savvy in tax strategy, but you need to look and see, you know, are you a sole proprietor, you know, or are you an LLC? Are you a corporate S or a corporate C? You need to figure out what you need to be. And you need to figure out you know, how many of those do you need to have? Because you might be at a point where you have, you know, your, you know, I don't know, whatever kind of business you have, and then maybe there's another business that springs out of that business. So you want to try to keep all those things separate. And it's important to keep those things separate, because I don't want to put, if I have an LLC, I don't want to deposit money into my LLC that really should have been in a personal checking account for operational expenses, because I want to make it very easy for my accountant to look and see. Because one thing the business owners we do sometimes, we mix everything in one pot, honey. Everything, just put it in that account. Well, wait a minute, what is this for? You know, which is why I like for people to have American Express. You can say, this American Express card, everything on there are business expenses. Because American Express does a great job at tallying up at the end of the year all your expenses. So you can actually go on your American Express, on your statement, you know, on the app, you can look and see, travel, I spent $20,000. Dining, I spent $10,000. Clothes, like it breaks it all down for you monthly, quarterly, and annually. So it's going to end up saving you money as a CEO, because your accountant can clearly read what the heck is going on. You know, I remember having a meeting with our accountant, and he was like, I'm confused. Because I was confused with how I was handling my money. I was not being diligent and paying close attention to the details. So now I make sure if I use that card, I say, okay, which card do I need to use? Because I have several American Express cards. What card? Is this personal? Personal things need to go on the personal account. Is this business? You know, what business account? And then if you get to the point where your business has very large expenses, you know, like one of my family members, they put on their business a lot of times 6 figures. Okay, goes on to that American Express. Well, it's nice because they get the points for it. But she said it's not a big deal for us to have a $150,000 American Express bill. Some of you might have a very large American Express, $300,000, $500,000, depending on your business. Some of you $10,000, some of you $20,000. The point is you want to clearly define what is my income versus what is my expenses, because your expenses can be written off. Okay, and I also would suggest to you, even if you have an accountant, Sometimes, and this is funny, because when I was talking to Mr. Roberts, the billionaire, he said, listen, even with my tax strategists, sometimes I have to consult them. Like, no, this is what you need to do. So you still want to, even if you have an accountant, you still want to make sure that you kind of pay attention. Every now and then, I'll pick up a periodical on, 2017 tax strategy. Like President Trump just is giving a larger write-off to entrepreneurs. We're actually going to get a break on our taxes for people that make over a particular rank. So it's just good to read some of those things, because don't ever be afraid to question people that are working for you, that are on your staff. Hey, well, what about this? Or hey, did we write this off? Or hey, what about that? Or hey, I bought this, so can't we write that off because of da-da-da-da? And there's also an app now that you can actually download that will keep up with all your miles as you're driving. Okay, so if you put your vehicle in your personal name or even in your business name, depending on if you're a sole proprietorship or LLC or S Corp or C Corp or whatever, you can actually write off. It'll calculate the miles every time you get in the car. You don't have to do anything. All you do is download it one time, so that ought to help you to give your account an accurate reading of how many miles that I actually, drive this year, and then all that goes towards your write-offs, okay? Tuition, schools, if you have dependents, make sure that you're putting that there on your write-off. So anyway, this is going to be really important to have that accountant, because then they can come up with tax strategies. Now, this particular accounting firm that we work with, they're really good. Like, she can tell you before your taxes are filed, this is how much you're probably going to owe in taxes this year. And then she can also give you some other advice to say, I think you should buy a property, or we got to offset your taxes, so you need to do X, Y, Z. So she can give you some strategy and I like her strategy, because her strategy not only does it help you offset taxes, but it also helps you to build your investment portfolio too. So that's pretty cool. All right. So that's kind of that. So let's talk about, we were talking about this in terms of money. So let's talk about, how do you grow money? Because a lot of people, I was at a big meeting yesterday, had about 1,000 people there. It was really good. And the people got a chance to ask questions. It was good. And one of the girls said, I got student debt. I got debt. I got student loans. I got debt, period. I want to get a house. I'm really, really thinking about getting a second job. Listen, I'm going to always tell you, I don't think anybody should get a second job, especially not a girl. This is just me. I don't think women should get second jobs because it makes them look tired and they end up looking like their husband's mama. No, you got to preserve the pretty, baby. So I'm never going to tell you get a second job. But I do think what you do need to do is you need to make more money. And so one of the ways that you can do that is by doing something called trading foreign currency. Now, let me tell you something. Anytime you get ready to learn something new, what's going to happen is your fences are going to go up, because all of us have internal boundaries of what we think we can do, of what we think we can accomplish. But I'm all about the challenge. Never ever weary of being challenged. Never ever become tired of learning something new. And a lot of times you have to make yourself learn something new, because the human brain automatically wants to say, I'm done. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. But remember, the most very successful people got involved in things that they really didn't have an idea. I always love hearing the girl's story from the owner of Spanx. I can't think of her name right now, but she was making those garments in her apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, okay? And she kept at it. Next thing she knows, she got a call from the Oprah Winfrey Show, because she sent Oprah those Spanx. And Oprah said, dog, this is good. And she said, let's interview her. She was in a 2-bedroom apartment and she only had a girlfriend helping her. You think she made that girlfriend a multimillionaire? Yes, that girl that was her friend. They started at the beginning, and so she's a multimillionaire today. But she had to hurry, and put together this, she's like, I gotta, because Oprah think I'm big time, and I'm in my apartment, okay? But the story was so cool because she actually went to her apartment. She said, this is what it is. And so from there, we know she is now a female, self-made female billionaire, okay? Why? Because she trusted her instinct, she had the right relationships, and it led her to the wealthy place, okay? So trading foreign currency. So what is trading foreign currency? Trading foreign currency, the banks have been doing it for over the last 100 years. And it's how they make their money, which is why they like for you to leave deposits in there, because they take that money and they trade it, and they pay you a very small percentage of what you actually, what the bank is getting, because the bank is kind of the wholesaler, and then you're the customer, and so they just pay you a small amount, but the banks make a lot more than that every time they trade. When they opened it up to the private sector over a decade ago, when they first opened it up, you had to have a net worth of about $3 million in order for you to even be able to trade. Now the average person can learn how to trade, right? So what is trading? All right, ladies, we're gonna go to Europe for 2 weeks. How about that? Yeah, that sound good? We're gonna go dining, we're gonna go shopping, we're gonna go to the art gallery, we're gonna go to the theater, go see The Lion King, Color Purple. Come on now. That new play that's out with Denzel, we're gonna go to do all of that. But before we do any of those things, what do we wanna do? We wanna go to the bank. Yeah, we wanna take our dollar and exchange it for what? The euro. We're in Europe, so we wanna trade it for the euro. So what'll happen is, we will take, and depending on the value of the euro, if it's greater than the dollar or lesser than the dollar, will determine if we get more euros back or less euros back, okay? So what we want to do, we want to make sure we put ourselves in a position to have that money to spend in Europe, because it's going to spend greater than our United States dollar. So we can trade foreign currency with any two countries and their currency. Any two countries, remember? And their two currencies. We can trade it. All right, so let me give you a quick lesson on trading foreign currency. If a particular currency is on an uptrend, then they call that a bullish market, and you place a buy, okay? If a particular currency, let's just say United States dollar and Japanese yen, is on a downtrend, they call that a bearish market, and you place a sell. Well, this is the crazy thing about the innovation. We partner with a company that has the innovation where we can make all of our trades on our, cell phones. Can you believe that? Yeah, I trade every single day, and I can trade it on my cell phone. Isn't that amazing? So I can go on my cell phone. There are 3 apps that I can that I download on my phone, okay? And one app allows me to trade. Another app actually tells me what to trade, okay? Because you might still be learning how to read the charts. You're like, I don't know how to read these charts. What am I doing? The company will tell you. They'll send you a text message that says, Euro GBP, buy. United States dollar, Mexican peso, sell. All I do is copy and paste. Can you believe that in technology? Amazing. Copy and paste on there, bam. My trade is in. It takes me less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute. Now, this is probably sounds like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Yes. We literally have people that had just come into the business maybe a year ago. I'm sorry, maybe a month ago. I haven't even been here a year, actually. Maybe a month ago, maybe a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and they're making hundreds of dollars a day. Some of them are making thousands of dollars a day. That's right. Thousands a day, hundreds a day, because the company will give a suggestion. You don't have to do with the company. If you get a text message, you don't have to put it in, but if you decide you want to put it in, you can. And you see that blue? Let's see, I don't know if you guys can see that blue or not, but blue represents profit. Yes. Profit. So now I have 2 trades in on Australian dollar and Canadian dollar. It's on an uptrend, so I have a buy in, and I have a trade in on the United States dollar and a sell in United States dollar and Canadian dollar on a sell. So I have 3 trades in right now. 2 of them are from profit. The other one is still negative, okay? But I'm gonna let it ride on all the way up and right on back down, okay? So that's really powerful. That is huge to be able to do this on my cell phone. It takes me less than 1 minute. So it doesn't matter if I'm getting on a plane, getting off of a plane, getting ready to go in and do a meeting, getting ready to have family dinner, maybe go to the movies. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It takes me less than 1 minute to put a trade in. And literally, you can be making tons of money in a short amount of time. Let me tell you something. The only difference between the rich and the poor, always remember this, is information. Remember we talked about earlier having that boldness, having that courage, right? To be able to step out and do something new, okay? And remember, you do not want to ask someone that you do not respect financially. You can respect them, but it doesn't mean you respect them financially. What you should do, trust your gut. Remember we talked about that, trusting your gut. So now I have the ability to take that. So what do I do? So let me tell you what those steps are. Can you erase this for me? So let me tell you what those steps are. You might be saying, how do I get involved with that? You can get on Tankard.com and shoot us an email, and we'll have somebody, either myself or one of the staff members, or reach out to you and tell you exactly what you need to do. But I'm going to tell you what those steps are, and it's really quite powerful because this is a wealth building skill set that you will have for the rest of your life. And when you study the wealthy, you will see that a lot of them participate in trading foreign currency. George Soros, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. You pull back that wealth portfolio and say, oh, wow, those guys trade. As a matter of fact, Google, when you get a chance, George Soros, and you'll see he made so much money one day trading that they had to shut down the Bank of England. The Queen was like, what is going on? You shutting our banks down, okay? So let me tell you what those steps are. So remember, you're going to learn how to trade Forex. So that's huge because this has definitely been a wealth building skill set that's been dominated by our white brothers, okay? Love them too, but this has not been something that we've seen very accessible or talked about in our community, right? Because you can't take advantage of something that you don't know, right? So you're going to learn how to trade Forex. That's huge. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to spend $195 to get enrolled. And I tell people, you're going to spend that money to get enrolled in Wealth University, right? You are basically paying to learn the language of wealth because wealth has a language. Like when I first started the conversations, I was like, whoa, it's way over my head. But I didn't stop listening to it. I stayed to immerse myself in it, immerse myself in those conversations, kept hearing those conversations. And eventually what happened? I started making sense. I said, yeah, I heard that before. I heard that terminology. I heard support. I heard resistance. I heard moving average. All these things that were so foreign to me, I was like, hey, I get it. And now I can have an intelligent conversation with somebody who's been trading for years. And I'm a new trader, but I'm making money trading. Isn't that awesome to be able to do that? So you'll pay that $195, and let's just say that's going to sign you up for Wealth University, okay? Then after that, we're going to get you to sign up on, you're going to get a demo account, okay? Because this is so new, we don't want you to start trading with your real money yet. You're still learning. So you'll start with a demo account, okay? Tell yourself right now, I am not afraid and I'm going to embrace every new challenge. This is what I want to say to you. The world is changing. The financial landscape is changing. And unfortunately, most entrepreneurs never become wealthy. Do you know why? Because they take all their money, they put it back into the business, and they never start paying themselves. See, this will put you in a position, because I want you to get to the point where you stop eating the principal, but you can live off of the interest. That's where you want to be. I was talking to my good friend Donnie McClurkin yesterday. He said, man, I need to get involved with this. He said, because over the years, I've been an award-winning artist, and I made money, but I can't say my money is just growing. He wouldn't mind me sharing this because he shared it with the entire audience. I wouldn't do that, okay? But, you know, he said, I can't just say my money is growing. It's just there, right? So when you think about retirement, ask yourself this question. How much do you need to retire? And we're going to come back to this, but this is going to tie in. Retirement. So ask yourself, how much money do you want coming in every month? Now, you guys know how I feel about retirement, but it just means being at a point where you don't have to pay bills anymore. How much money do you need when you retire? Okay? And then you got to make sure that, again, because if you just look at a traditional 401k, remember that's going to be cut in half. So that means you're going to be forced to use some of these new rules of money because let's talk about annuities. They only produce like 4 to 8% a year. Mutual funds, 4 to 8% a year. Stocks might do better, but again, it depends on your capital investment. And then bonds and CDs are real small, like 2%. Like it's super, super, super small. Okay? So we want to make sure that we put ourselves in a position not to just trust and rely on these traditional financial products that grandmama and them told us about because maybe it worked for them, but inflation now is 11% a year, so we got to be aggressive. All right, so you have to ask yourself, how much do I want every month? So let's just say, I don't know, what do you think the average person wants? I'm going to use high numbers, Okay, I like big numbers. Is that okay? Let's go with a big number. So let's just say 30,000 a month. Now we also got to consider inflation because some of you are 20, 30, 40 years away from being 65. But let's just say on average, you want 30,000 a month, and let's just say you are 35 years old, so you have 30 years before you get to 65. So times 30, what's that? That's going to be 900,000, right? So that means you need to accumulate $900,000 between now and the next 30 years in order to have this amount. Now, this sounds like a lot of money, but let's break it down further. If I have $900,000, I'm 65 years old, how much do I need every year to live off of? The average person. Would you say the average person needs at least 100,000? You're a CEO, you need at least 100, right? So how long is it going to take me to go through the 900,000? 9 years. Because I'm spending 100,000 a year. I got 900,000. It's going to take me 9 years to go through that. And what's going to happen? At 76, I'm going to be trying to figure out what else can I do. Okay? And this is what's happening to a lot of baby boomers, which is why you see, and it breaks my heart every time I go into Walmart and I see somebody's grandmama at the cash register and it's midnight. Like, she don't have no business in here and no midnight. But she didn't have anybody to educate her when she was in her earning years, so she did not plan properly because she probably wasn't even thinking about it because wasn't nobody talking about it. And I think, especially for women, you think about that. You think about this. When your mom calls you on the phone, the average person, what's she gonna say? How the kids doing? What y'all cooking? What y'all doing tonight? Nothing. So nothing was cultivated in her to think on a financial level because everything was around the kids and cooking. And I'm about to go to the grocery store. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not the totality of the whole matter because there's a whole financial world that's going by. And if she doesn't get revelation on that, she's going to be stuck, because even if you might say, well, my husband has a good paying job, but what if he gets fired? Okay. Or what, God forbid, if he gets sick, but you're like, I don't know. I mean, I literally have talked to women who've been like, I don't even know what the water bill is. I'm like, that's sad. Because if anything was to ever happen in your situation, you are not in a position where you can take care of yourself because you went from your daddy's house to his house. Or maybe you went from your daddy's house and maybe you lived on your own, but you still never really learned how to take care of yourself or how to even want to. I talk to a lot of women, they don't even want to take care of themselves. They're like, I don't worry about no money. I mean, how many times do you hear that? That's like stupid. I'm not saying you should worry about money, but you should at least be alert to what's happening, right? Yeah, that's pretty important. So you'll go through that really quickly. So now that we've established how quickly you'll go through that, let's talk about how you can grow your money with this trading foreign currency. So let's go back here. So I told you to trade foreign currency, it'll be a wealth building skill set that you'll have for the rest of your life. $195 to go to Wealth University. You're going to set up a demo account, okay? This will allow you to trade monopoly money because we want you to get the hang of it. You're going to do a demo account for about a week or two, maybe 3, it's up to you. Most people do it for a week. Then you'll go to a live account. When you start your live account, I recommend that you start it with at least $300, real money. This money is your money. So when the company sends you a signal, is what we call it, to say buy gold or sell, oil, okay, and you profit, this money is yours because you're going to open this up in a Forex broker account that only you have access to. Only you have access to this money. So I tell people, if you make $500 in a week, you can have all that money transferred to a checking or savings account of your choice. You'll just simply go online and they'll ask you for your routing and account number. And your money will be in there in 24 to 48 hours. Isn't that cool? Okay, why? Because again, that is your money. And so that money is going to be transferred at your discretion. You can do it weekly, you can do it monthly, you can do it quarterly, annually, totally and completely up to you. But on average, most traders are seeing on a monthly basis anywhere between a 30 and 50% increase. That's huge. There's nothing that's paying that right now. So this is why trading foreign currency would be considered a new rule of money. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, tweeted recently that most of the wealthy trade foreign currency. Pay attention to that stuff. When he tweeted that, I screenshotted that. I sent that out to my team members to let them know, hey, this is a great way for you to explain to people, because most people, remember, don't even know what trading foreign currency it is. But even if they don't know, it doesn't mean that they can't participate. I'm still learning, you know? So I'm a master student. By no means do I consider myself a master teacher. I'm a good teacher, but I'm a master student. I'm always wanting to learn something new, always wanting to add on to what I know. Why? Because the financial world looks different. We're in a new financial world. The financial landscape looks different. So I need to begin to understand that, because it's not just about being an entrepreneur. It's about, how am I growing my money? Am I growing it slowly? Am I growing it, is it happening fast? What's going on with my money? That is what you really want to put yourself in a position to understand that. That's going to be very, very, very important, okay? So this is a wealth building skill set that you will have for the rest of your life, because remember, the goal is to not eat all the principal, but get to the point where you live off of the interest. Now, this should be a part of your financial, your wealth portfolio. So if we were to do a picture of your wealth portfolio, sure I spell that right, honey. No, messed that up right there. Okay, so if we were to look at your wealth portfolio, we would say, because we want to make sure we've got a good amount of cash flow. And the cash flow can come from Forex. Then you want to make sure you have a good amount of precious metals. Okay, that's gold, silver, bullion, not just gold and silver, but you want bullion. That's the purest, finest type of metal, and it can be exchanged for currency if you want it to. There's some studies out there that, I don't know, in the next 10 years, we might be actually exchanging gold and silver again. But the appreciation on gold and silver is amazing. For example, 10 years ago, gold was going for about $300 an ounce. Now it's $1,200 an ounce. That's good. So imagine if that happens again, in the next few years, you really could put yourself in a really good place. So you want to buy as much as gold and silver as you possibly can. And we do have companies that will accommodate you getting set up on an auto save, because some people are like, listen, I can't even afford to buy an ounce of gold right now. Well, you can afford to buy a gram for $65 a gram, and you can just set it up on auto save and have it come out of your account every week or every month, and you don't have to think about it. And I tell people, once it gets to 31 grams, that's an ounce, have it shipped to you, okay? All right, so you wanna have precious metals. And then next, you wanna make sure you've got a good amount of real estate in there, okay? You guys know one of my favorites is tax lien certificates, short sales, foreclosures, anything that will allow you to get your hands on property. Now with our tax lien program, what we do, you pay $25,000, or invest, should I say, $25,000 to get that home. We take it, whether it's a condo or a home, we do the research and development before to figure out what kind of neighborhood it's in. Are there any taxes? Well, obviously taxes are owed on it, but are there any other liens that are owed on it? Is there a mortgage still owed on that property? So we do our research and development there, and then we can take that same property and put it back on the market for 6 figures. Okay, so that's a great way for you to do what we call buy and flip. We have the contractors. Most of those deals, or pretty much all those deals right now, are done in the Atlanta area. So we have the person that goes to the tax lien auction. We have the contractors that are going to go paint, lay down floors. And then we have the real estate agent that's going to actually put it on the market. And then we have the real estate attorney that's going to work to make sure that it's a clean transaction. And if there is a mortgage owed owed on the property, they will work to get a mortgage reduction, okay? So that we can bring home most of the profit when it's sold. It doesn't have to all go to the mortgage company to pay off the loan. It can go in your pocket. So you need to have real estate there. We talked about that with apartment buildings, but this is what the overall your wealth portfolio should look like. And then we can also help you purchase oil wells. The oil business was booming several years ago. That's when gas prices were crazy, because if gas prices are high, it means oil prices are high. So when oil prices started coming down, gas prices started coming down, okay? And it was great for consumers, but the oil industry really dried up. They had to fire the drillers, the fractors, the operations people. A lot of the oil wells, they had to stop drilling on them because the price of gas was so low, or the price of oil was so low that they could not afford to pay the expenses to run the wells, okay? Now, that's okay, because remember, money is cyclical, business is cyclical. So even though buying an oil well right now is just getting ready to get back good again, you can get a full unit on average right around $100,000. If you want to buy half a unit, you can do that. For $50,000 or a third of a unit, you can do that as well. Now, the nice thing about oil wells, on average, they pay out anywhere between 5 to 30 years every month. 5 to 30 years every month. And what will happen is they'll send you a gas check every month or a oil check. And some are going to be just gas wells, some are going to be gas and oil. But it's a great way to create that, what do we talk about, portfolio income. That money is coming in there to you every month, you know, once you've invested in that. So that's nice. And then I would say, you know, you could do some mining rights in there, and that basically is the dirt, okay? And those are good investments too, all right? And then, so we've got basic cash flow, precious metals, real estate, oil wells, mining rights, and then my last but not least, my favorite, guns. Did you know guns are actually appreciating assets? They are. So you could start buying guns. I got the cutest gun, girls. It's pink. It's so cute. It's this little 22. But it's good to make sure you have guns. So this is a good, well-balanced, or I won't say well-balanced, but this is a commodity-focused wealth portfolio. You hear people talk about, you need to diversify. No, you don't. You need a focused portfolio. Focus. And the focus needs to be on commodities, because commodities are what produce the greatest return on your investment, okay? So you might say, well, where do I get started? I would start with, first of all, the cash flow, because you cannot buy any of these things if you don't have proper cash flow. So you need to start with trading foreign currency. That's where you need to start, okay? And then, you know, you can watch, you know, there are lots of YouTube videos out there. If you want to pull up a YouTube video and look and see, you know, how a lot of traders live. If you want to look up videos on precious metals and I've got a few out there. Mike Maloney has a few, Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki has a few out there to hear what other, you know, millionaires are talking about where precious metals are concerned, or any of those things that we talked about today. But just know that you don't want to diversify portfolio. Now, I'm not saying, now one thing I did not put in here that you might want to put in here are stocks. You know, you can, I wouldn't do a lot of those. Those are based on a company's performance, like Home Depot, Walgreens, things like that. Is based on how that company revenue perform versus their expenses on if your stock is going to go up or not. If you're going to do stocks, never ever do a stock just for price appreciation. So what do I mean by that? That you bought, let's just say Walgreens. I actually like Walgreens because they're known for actually buying their land. They don't just lease the land out, so at least they own their land. But let's just say you bought Walgreens stock for $18 a share, and then it goes up to $50. I mean, that was a good buy, right? But what if it goes down to $8 a share? Then you've lost. So unless, the only way I would buy a stock is if it pays out dividends. Because what can happen is if it goes down to $8 a share, I can actually I can use my dividends, reinvest it to buy more shares at a lower cost. Got it? So again, Never buy just for price appreciation for stocks. So if you want to get a stock like Walgreens, let's just say you buy it at $18 a share, it goes down to $8 a share. If it pays out dividends, you can tell your broker to take my dividends every quarter. Most dividends are paid out quarterly or semi-annually. Take my dividends and buy more shares. Buy more shares. And you buy more shares at a lower cost. So when it goes back up, where initially you might have just had 100 shares, but because you were reinvesting your dividends, you picked up a lot more shares at $8, and now you went from having $100 a share, 100 shares to maybe now 500 shares. Okay? So I'm not against stocks. I just don't think that your portfolio needs to be made mostly of them. I like the accessibility that we have with trading Forex, because you can pull the cash out right away and you can grow your money exponentially, and you can also minimize risk by using proper what we call stop losses. And if you're not looking at your phone, we set the take profit. So once it hits that particular place in the market, it'll automatically pull you out in profit. And that's exactly where you want to be. So listen, I know you guys got a lot of information today from me. For more information on Jewel Tankard's Millionaires Club, you can join or by getting on jeweltankard.com. If you want more information about anything we talked about, you can get on jeweltankard.com. And then we'll also be getting ready to have a 2-day conference. I want to encourage you to come out. It'll be for men and women. Anybody that wants to learn about money, we'll be bringing in other financial experts, because money is one of those things that you have to continue to study. It's just like if you're an insurance agent, you have to go back for continuing education. If you're an accountant, they have to go back for continued education. Doctors have to go back for continued education. But you think about it, when you're in school, they didn't teach you about money. You might have went to accounting. Accounting teaches you how to add and subtract. Or they told you, meet with your financial planner once a year. But things change every year. And most financial planners love them, no pun intended, but a lot of them are still dealing with the old rules of money: annuities, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. And again, I don't have a problem with those. You can have those in your portfolio, but you're going to also need something a lot more aggressive to keep up with 11% interest. Listen, I want every person to live their absolute dream. So look me up, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram, and I look forward to this year going over and beyond all prior limits to you. So until next time, we'll see you later.